What's happening, people? Hope you're all good, and I hope you're all absolutely buzzing with this amazing transfer window. This January has been lit. There's been a whole £50 million spent. It's absolute elite levels. I'm of course joking. It's been really poor, man. It's been really poor for all clubs, and everybody is scratching their heads, thinking, "Is this window actually still open? Is there any point of it?" Some clubs have been fairly busy, and I think there is going to be some stuff that's happening in the end of the transfer window today for some of the clubs, but I don't think Arsenal are going to be one of those. There has been some players that have been rumoured. There's been some players that have been rumoured incoming and leaving, but let's be real. Nothing's going to be happening as far as Arsenal Football Club are concerned. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a show later where we talk a little bit about some of the dealings that have happened today and that are looking likely to happen before the window does shut this evening. But I'm going to be over on Lee Judge's TV tonight after the Man United game. So make sure you're there. It's going to be myself and Lee versus Deji and Henry talking about North London and the North London podcast, which we do every Thursday night on Lee Judge's TV. So make sure you get over there after the Man United game tonight. That will be myself, Lee, Deji, and Henry. But we're here to talk all things transfers. But before we do that, a couple of things. If you do enjoy a bet, make sure you go over to Bread and Honey Bets on the Patreon in the link to the description. Whilst you're there, please click on Guna Russ 11 on Instagram and order yourself one of these cannons behind me because they are class. Shout him, message him, tell him you're a Guna, and he'll sort you out a really good price for them. He's got them in red and, of course, in blue and yellow as well. So make sure that you do that. Also, listen, let's talk Arsenal. Let's talk transfers. Before we do that, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're getting very close to 16K. Our next target is 20. So please make sure that we can get us there very quickly. And let's make sure that we can get this up to 100 likes by the time that I'm finished. There's just coming up to 100 of you in the chat now. So let's make sure that we get these likes up, people. Come on. Only at 21. Oh, come on. That's terrible. Smash the like button. Let's get us up to 100. Listen, this is a mad window. I can't tell you how much of a disgrace it's been to wake up every morning and be told that nothing's happening. However, what I will say is it's been quite stress-free. There hasn't been any major rumours that's made me question Arsenal Football Club. There hasn't been any crazy outgoings, crazy incomings. And there was in the summer, wasn't there? We haven't got that so far. But what I will say is that it has been quite chill and it hasn't been like, what's the word? Not stress. I'm trying to think of the word, but it's gone from me. But the emotion, I suppose, is the word of it, has not really lifted. It's not really been, I've not really sat there and thought, oh, do you know what? Arsenal, what the hell? Because no one's doing anything. Literally, this profit and sustainability has killed it. And I wanted to start on that, right? Profit and sustainability is absolutely fine if it's brought in to be made fair. But actually, what it's done is it's given Man City a huge head start. They've got their squad. They've built it over 10 years. So where we look at it now, Newcastle, let's just take them. They've got billions in the bank. They can't spend it because profit and sustainability have said they can't. But that didn't exist when Man City were spending their billions on their squad that they've spent 10 years creating. So Newcastle, not that I want them to out-leap everybody else. If they want to spend the money they've got, they can't. Arsenal, I'm being told we are very, very comfortable when it comes to what we want to spend in the summer. But the profit and sustainability rules have been implemented, which has prevented us from spending it this January. So now there's a couple of things to look at. Why was Kai Havertz's money spent? Why did we go and spend money on players that potentially we didn't need in that position the previous window, like Fabi Vieira for 35 million? We could have got somebody better. Havertz, 65 million. That 100 million could have been spent on Kudus and Maddison. Two players that would have definitely lifted us moving forward and created cover for Saka and Erdegaard. So I do look at that and think, yeah, fair play. I can see why Mikel Arteta and Edu have been questioned there. But in terms of this window, I just think everybody's hands have been tied. And I was getting frustrated by it, thinking, why can't we try and actually get something done? But actually where I've had sympathy in the last couple of weeks with wanting to get rid of players is that no one's got any money to spend on them. So if somebody wants Eddie Nketiah for 20 million, they ain't got 20 million to spend on him. Somebody wants Reece Nelson for that money, they ain't got that money to spend on him. No one's got money for Smith-Rowe for 45 million. They're putting in loan deals with obligations to buy. Ain't going to happen. So if people actually do want our players, then they're going to have to spend the money. We're not going to give them on the cheap just because profit and sustainability says that we can't allow for it to happen. So that's the way I see it, man. But every single rumour you see about Arsenal and a transfer is for the summer. And the latest is one of Marcus Rashford. I want everybody to do me a favour. I want everybody to write in the chat yes or no. Yes means you want Rashford. No means no, you don't want Rashford. And if you want to, you can go with a hell yes or a hell no. Because I'm going to tell you where I'm at on this player. I do not want this player anywhere near Arsenal. I think this player has to be one of the most overrated players that I have seen. And what I mean by that, he's trash. Quite the opposite. I think he's a good player, but that's as far as it goes. He's a good player. And he gets hyped up to be the Mbappe of Manchester United. He gets hyped up to be this guy that is going to be, I think at one stage, £150 million worth. Up there with the Mbappes. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. This guy's never been that good. This guy's always been half decent. I think there's a talent there, and I think that potentially there's a problem as to why that hasn't come out all in his top of his quality yet. But I think the top of his game is nothing special, spectacular. We're not talking about Gareth Bale levels here or Ryan Giggs levels here. We're not talking about somebody who you look at and go, I think there's Thierry Henry in there, but we just got to get out of him. This guy is 26, I think, going on 27. I don't think he's ever had a season at United where I've gone, okay, yeah, he's walking into any single club in the world right now. Last season was one of his best at about 15 goals. But I can't sit there and lie to you and say that he's definitely 100% a player that we should be looking at getting now because Martinelli ain't got nothing on this guy. I'd be taking Martinelli over Rashford all day long. I really would. Rashford's got the mentality problem. He's got a weak mentality. He's got problems off the pitch. He's really nice when it comes to all the feeding the kids stuff during COVID. He's got great traits. He's got lovely personality traits that people love, but that don't get you winning elite mentality. And I don't really see compares for me. When they start to throw names at me, I'm seeing more Gabby Ogbonlor or Theo Walcott level, Danny Welbeck level, as opposed to Thierry Henry, Kylian Mbappe level. That's just me. Maybe you think that's harsh. Maybe you believe that that's, I don't know, somebody that you might look at and say, no, actually, that's a bit harsh, Dan. I can see where you're coming from with certain elements, but he is a Thierry Henry if we get the best out of him. I've never seen it. I've just never seen it. I really haven't. And I just think he's a good footballer. That's it. I don't think it'll take Arsenal to the next level. I think it'd be crazy money. I think it would be crazy wages. 375k is on at Man United. That's incredible. Now, I know that we've got a lot of players on that are on crazy wages as well. Yeah, Kai Havertz being one of them. There's rumours that he's on between 275 and 300. Absolutely mental, right? But are we going to be getting a player like that from Manchester United? One, they're not going to sell him to us. Two, if they do, it'd be ridiculous money. We'll probably be talking like 90 million plus, right? He's 26, 27. He's a left winger that can't play up top really because every time he tries to, it don't work out. I just don't get it. Now, if you're going to say to me, would you rather have Marcus Rashford or Reece Nelson? Then, of course, I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford. But if you said to me now, would you rather have Michael Olise or Pedro Neto or Marcus Rashford? I'm going to take one of the other two because I think they've got a much more of a higher ceiling. I think they're definitely a player that is currently on form right now. I think both those players have had better seasons already than Marcus Rashford. And I think they can actually play in a couple of positions more than him. Marcus Rashford has been stuck out on the left trying to beg to be a striker or trying to beg to get more in the game. And when he doesn't get in the game, goes disappearing when you need him most. And I've not really been a huge fan of him. I went viral not long ago, a few years ago, was it, on Football Terrace when I said that he's a Danny Welbeck that feeds the kids. And I, of course, was talking a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I stand by some of that. I do think that his mentality is lovely and that he was great outside of football. But I need someone who's a bit more of a monster. He's too nice to be a footballer, I think, Marcus Rashford. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to have that little bit of bite inside you that everyone looks at and goes, God, what a player, but I can't stand him. Sometimes I had that. Players like Roy Keane, Cristiano Ronaldo used to hate him because he was brilliant. Harry Kane used to hate him, he's brilliant. I don't hate Marcus Rashford. I just think he's an all right player. And I don't think that would do anything for Arsenal. Arsenal have got enough of them. Arsenal have got better wingers in their squad right now than Marcus Rashford, in my opinion. Bukayo Saka, Martinelli. I'd even take Smith-Rowe and Trossard over Marcus Rashford, to be fair. Because if you're going to be looking at the amount of money we're spending, yeah, although Marcus Rashford is probably better than Trossard and Smith-Rowe, do I want to spend 365k on him? Or would I rather keep Trossard and Smith-Rowe and actually go and put it in a different area? That's what I'd be doing. I don't think Marcus Rashford is what we need at Arsenal at all. Yeah, I really don't. I want an out-and-out striker, not another wide forward. So when people talk about Jesus, what's Marcus Rashford? Let's be real. Not for me. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the rumours are really lazy. I think it's lazy journalism. I don't think it's someone that I'm looking at thinking that could happen. I can see that one working out. Some rumours are suggesting that if he is going to get a move to another top club, it would be PSG. When Mbappe leaves and potentially goes to Real Madrid, maybe Marcus Rashford is the guy to come over to PSG and take a different challenge. I don't know. But for me, I think Manchester United are looking at players like Rashford and Bruno and thinking, is this what we need moving forward? And I don't think it is, personally. Giving Bruno the captain's armband was a stupid decision. And I think Marcus Rashford making him the highest paid player was just crazy as well. Everything they've done, to be fair, has been pretty poor, Man United. It really has. So Marcus Rashford, for me, just ain't going to happen. Listen, Arsenal have also got rid of a player at left back, Lino Souza. I don't know much about him. All I know is that he was one that we were looking at potentially giving a chance. When Kivior was playing at left back, when Zinchenko and Timber were both out, he was one name mentioned as why don't we promote him? And Aston Villa have done exactly that. They've gone and got him. Now, it's a strange one because he's a left back. And they've got Alex Moreno and Luca Dean. Now, I know Luca Dean is out injured at the moment, and Moreno's not really been the same since he's come back from his injury, but they're both better than Souza, let's be real. The only thing I will say is that he can cross a ball in, and it's one of his attributes that I think is not wanted by Mikel Arteta. He doesn't like fullbacks to get forward and swing the ball in. He does not like that. Ben White doesn't do it. Zinchenko doesn't do it. And both are able to, by the way, and capable of doing it. But they quite like, he just doesn't like that. He doesn't want that Kieran Tierney overlapping, crossing the ball in to a Giroud type player. That's just not what he wants. And I think that's why potentially he's been allowed to go. But that's literally the only thing that we've got happening. There's not much else happening. Somebody mentioned today that Sego Jr. has gone on to Swansea for the rest of the season. Potentially a really good player. I looked at him in the cup game. I think he played against Brentford. And I was actually quite impressed. A lot of people call him Mini Saka because they see little bits and pieces of him that reminds you of his game. And I must say that I was quite impressed by the little bits that I've seen of him. I've seen some YouTube clips that people have chopped up about him. And he's definitely got the talent. I think he's more of a similarity to Saka in terms of how he cuts inside from that right-hand side on his left foot. And he's a player that I looked at a couple of times and thought, do you know what? Actually, I'm a fan of this kid. Let's see what he can do. A couple of other players that are coming into the mix at Arsenal at the moment alongside him. Ethan Nwaneri is another one, and Kozia Dubry is another name that people are talking about. Raul Waters has made the bench quite a few times already this season as one of our defenders. And it's quite rare that we actually see a centre-half or a right-back coming through at Arsenal that we think, actually, fair play, let's give them a shout. In fact, I don't really know many in the last 2 decades that have come through where I can sit there and say to you that, yeah, fair play. You've got to go back nearly 30 years for doing through at centre-half. There's not really any that's come through unless someone can tell me in the chat, other than maybe Ashley Cole and Tony Adams that have come through our youth academy. So it's always been up the top of the pitch, hasn't it? Where we've seen the excitement over the years, the Bukayo Sakas, Jack Wilshere's, Paul Merson's, Kevin Campbell's, Rowe Castle's, Michael Thomas, all those guys that come through in the midfield and the striking areas. It's never really been anything in defence that I've seen. So that's what we need to be looking at. So let's see what happens there. But in terms of incomings, wow, it's a struggle. Doesn't look like Cedric's going to get anywhere soon. Potentially Turkey. I think their transfer window stays open for another couple of weeks. So I think there's an opportunity there for Cedric to go. By then, we'll understand more about what's happening with Tomiyasu and Timber. The rumours are that Tomiyasu will be back after Japan, but they've gone through to their next phase of their competition in the Asian Cup. And Timber, I think he's going to be back towards the end of this month because we're now in February. And it feels like forever since he's been out. I mean, literally, the poor kid kicked a ball against Forest and got injured for most of the season. And it's just been bang out of order, to be fair. So Rashford to Arsenal, I just don't see it happening. Don't see anybody else going out in the first team. I don't think our squad is thick enough at the moment. I don't think we've got the squad depth to be doing that. And I heard Mikel Arteta, which annoyed the hell out of me, actually. Some of the things he says. We have got a really thin squad. If you look at it deeply, it's one of the thinnest in the league. Like, what are you talking about, mate? Like, you've had £600 million now to spend. Why is your squad still thin then? You've decided to keep El Neni. You've decided to stick with Cedric. You've decided to stick with Nelson, Nketiah. The list goes on. You've added to the squad with players like Vieira and Kai Havertz. So that's just crazy. The other one that's come out today is that Runnison has been sent back to Arsenal, and it looks like he's going to go back to Copenhagen in Denmark. That was pretty much where he'd come from as a youngster. I don't think he's a goalkeeper that anybody wants. If he's not going to make it a championship level, he ain't going to make it here. And I just could tell straight away. You know, sometimes when your eyes don't lie to you, I think everybody could see that this goalkeeper was nowhere near good enough. The stature of the kid at 28 years old now, or 27, is he? He looks like he's basically someone's nephew or a school kid. You know, it's poor, really poor recruitment, poor scouting. I don't know why anybody thought this guy was going to be a worthwhile goalkeeper. And again, it just makes me laugh. How many goalkeepers have we been speaking about since Mikel Arteta and Edu have got together and tried to pick one that's better than Emi Martinez? They failed. They had Emi Martinez, but they picked Leno over him. Good goalkeeper, but not as good as Emi Martinez. Then they decided to get rid of Martinez and bring in Matt Ryan, who I thought was okay as a number two. Probably the best number two we've had, in my opinion, since Aaron Ramsdale, who now is. And then we bought in Runnison. We bought in since then as well. Who else have we bought in? Ramsdale and Raya. So that's now 6 goalkeepers that we've had. Matt Turner, sorry, is the other one who we saw the other night. How bad he is still. So yeah, too many poor goalkeepers, man, that we've gone through. And in my opinion, if we're going to go and upgrade next, it needs to be like a Michael Mannion. It needs to be a Jan Oblak. It needs to be a Donnarumma. It needs to be somebody like that, not another goalkeeper like a Raya or Ramsdale. It needs to be that elite level. And then maybe there isn't many out there. You know, I'm not too sure about Costa, what he's like over at Port. I have no idea. Don't know what he's like. But people will talk about those names, and that's fine for me when we're linked with names like that. But when we're linked with other goalkeepers in the Premier League, let's say, that we look at and you think, I'm not really sure he's better than Ramsdale, don't get him, please. That's my rant over on goalkeepers anyway. So Runnison looks like he's going. Back to Denmark at Copenhagen. And he's out of contract with us anyway. They've ripped his contract up. He was over at Cardiff. They couldn't get him in the team. And he's out of contract to Arsenal at the end of this season anyway. So him and Cedric will definitely be leaving in the summer. Lokonga doing quite well at Luton, from what I hear. Not a player that I think is good enough for Arsenal. Nuno is now getting more game time at Nottingham Forest, from what I hear. I think Nuno Santos, sorry, both the Nunos there, is starting to give him a bit more time. Maybe it's the Portuguese connection, I don't know. But for me, I look at it right now and feel like he has to try and find a club somewhere. Maybe he has to go back to Portugal. Maybe Marseille were interested, I believe. So maybe we have to go there. Where else are we with the loans? Charlie Patino, things doing quite well at Swansea from what I make out. I just don't think I see this kid as an Arsenal player in the long-term future. I think he could be maybe a bit part player for maybe one season, and I think you'll see, like we have with quite a few others, that he just isn't quite at the Premier League level to win that kind of title that we want. We so are craving. I think if you look at players that have done that in the past, Henry Lansbury was one that really did well and balled out in the Championship, but never really got to that next level. I kind of see that with Charlie Patino. I understand he's younger, and they've all talked about how great he is in terms of the youth academy, and he's one of the best they've seen. I just don't know if we're going to see that personally. I think there's going to be more that we look at with Charlie Patino that is just not going to be quite at the level. And in fact, I would say that Lewis Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri are definitely 2 players that would be ahead of Charlie Patino if we was to actually line them all up. Because although one of them's been playing in the Championship team, I just don't think that he's the one that gets ahead of those 2. I've been hearing very good things about them, and I weren't hearing as much about Charlie Patino other than once or twice that you just hear, oh, yeah, he's the one that they all rate the most. And it's like, didn't really see anything of him. He come on once in a League Cup game and scored. That was it. You know, decent at Blackpool, apparently. I just don't know he's got the physical presence, if I'm honest with you, yet. So maybe that could let him down, but we shall see. So that's Arsenal transfers, man. There's not much going on. It ain't going to happen. I don't think we're going to get any ins. There's not going to be any exciting ins or outs. So that's going to be the end of it. Let's move on to the weekend quickly, man, because this one is huge. I've had so many people ask me this already today. Do you think, Dan, if Arsenal lose to Liverpool, that we are out of the title race? And the clear and obvious answer is yes. If we're 8 points behind Liverpool, I think the title might be done because I don't even think Liverpool are the ones that are actually going to win it. I think Man City will, right? So I look at it and think if Arsenal lose this game, it will be really, really hard for Arsenal to even dream of the title. Being 8 points behind them and having Man City with a game in hand, and they're the ones that we all believe are probably going to win the title. I think it's going to be like, please hang on to third because don't get dragged into a top four like battle. And we could do with Spurs only being that short distance behind us as well. Villa as well. I know they've dropped off, but they're not going to keep dropping off. I think they'll pick up some wins. It's going to be tight, definitely. I don't think we'll finish lower than third this season, but I've actually got us tipped for third now. I did have us as second, but I think Liverpool are looking way too strong. And this Sunday, I think will prove why they will be too strong. I'm not going to give my predictions yet. I'm not going to give you that away because we're going to do shows on it on Lee Judge's TV and probably something on here too. But I will say this. The team news, I think, may shock a few of you because I would make some changes. I wouldn't make crazy amounts of changes. I wouldn't go mental. But what I will say is that if we're going to go and beat Liverpool at the weekend, I think we need to look at our midfield. And at the moment, for the majority of this season, the one player that everybody wanted to see the back of is one that we've actually not upgraded on. And people will say that Declan Rice was the upgrade for Granit Xhaka, but actually what we needed was two midfielders, and everybody I was telling about this. It's fine getting Declan Rice. Who else you getting? Havertz. Ain't the answer. He ain't going to replace Granit Xhaka. And Granit Xhaka needed replacing and upgrading upon. But we needed to actually either do one or two things. We needed to buy two players and get rid of Xhaka, or we needed to buy Declan Rice and keep Granit Xhaka. And if we would have had Granit Xhaka in that midfield and the Granit Xhaka of last season with Declan Rice just replacing Partey until he comes back, you've actually got a really good strength in depth of midfield there. And I was never a massive fan of Granit Xhaka, if I'm honest with you. I wouldn't have minded him as a squad player, but I never really wanted him in the first team. I thought he was toilet for a lot of it. For 7 years that he was here, he had 2 years, maybe 18 months at top level. The rest of it, he was poor, man. So the midfield is a problem. And against Liverpool, I also believe that we could change it up a bit. And I think we should play Jorginho in the 6. And I think we should have Rice in the 8 and Erdegaard in the 10. That's what I would do. Front three can stay the same. Saka, Martinelli and Jesus. Bringing on Trossard works well. Bringing on Havertz, I'm fine with that. If you want to bring him on, just don't start him. And then the back four will remain the same, I think, until Timber comes back. And then there'll be a debate about whether Timber can outplay Zinchenko, which I think he can. And likewise, if Partey comes back, he's obviously going to play in that 6 role and allow Declan Rice to play in the 8. But for me, Thomas Partey, if he's fit, he plays. 100% he starts. He plays in the 6 because we need him big time. And I think people have slept and forgotten how important he was last season for Arsenal. If it wasn't for Rodri, he would have been the best centre midfielder in the league in terms of the defensive midfielder. I think he was better than Casemiro last year. I really do. I feel Casemiro is a very, very talented central defensive midfielder. The problem with Casemiro is he was very rash and got sent off quite a lot of times and made some mistakes. Whereas Thomas Partey was extremely consistent when he was fit. There was a times where he did have a bit of a drop-off, but obviously that was injury. There's a couple of games, I think, when we went through that really bad spell against Liverpool at Anfield, West Ham at their ground, and then Southampton, where he went a bit missing in those games, and I think that he just wasn't fit enough. There was a game at the Etihad last season where we just got embarrassed. I thought he was really poor. But other than that, he was pretty much good for every single one. And I'm a big, big fan. Big, big fan. The midfielders let us down this year. And it's mad because we spent 100 and how much on it? 170 million on it. And we've got it, made it worse. And that's not Declan Rice, by the way. Declan Rice has made it better. The problem is we haven't replaced enough in that midfield for Partey or Xhaka's loss. And we've lost both of them. And the absence of them both has not complemented Martin Erdegaard. And it has allowed Declan Rice to walk in and do the job on his own in his first season. Midfield's been a problem. And I think what's happened there is it's proven that midfield's the best and most important part of the pitch. Because what it's done for us is it's made us concede more goals this season and it's made us score less this season. And people might put that down to individual errors, individual drop-offs, style of play. I think you're right. I think it's got a culmination of a lot of that. And I do put it down to Mikel Arteta quite a lot. But the reason it's fallen at his door for me is because he's definitely changed the style of play, which is on Mikel. The other thing he's done is he's brought in Kai Havertz and Fabi Vieira and players like that in those areas, which has not worked or replaced the likes of Xhaka. He hasn't brought in a replacement for Thomas Partey, and he's actually used Declan Rice as that replacement for Thomas Partey instead of the replacement for Xhaka. So when people have said to me, oh yeah, but the reason that he's using Rice there is because of Xhaka and Partey being injured. What, so you don't trust Jorginho and Elneny then? What have you kept them for? What did you not upgrade them for? So there's always an answer as to, unfortunately, pointing towards the manager as to why that isn't working right now. So against Liverpool, I want to see Jorginho, Rice, and Erdegaard. I don't really want to see Smith-Rowe or Havertz. I've been really impressed with what I saw from Smith-Rowe in a few glimpses of him coming back, and he looks like he's sharp. But let's not like make out that he's now going to score all of our goals, because it's not going to happen. Yeah, and Kai Havertz wasn't doing that before anyway. So that's where I'm at. Chaitanya, big up yourself, bro. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. As ever, you're a legend. Says, do you think Partey will play at all versus Liverpool? Yes, I do. Well, as long as he's fit. If he's on the bench, yes, I do. If he doesn't make the squad again, then I'm starting to get a bit worried about when he actually will come back. But if I'm honest with you, I have to say that he'll come on for the last 20 minutes or so. Very similarly to the time that he came on in the last performance at Arsenal, which was the Man City win at the Emirates, where he came on and actually created and made the goal. I think it was his pass in fact, that went to Havertz, which then laid off. Or was it? No, actually, it was his cross to Tomiyasu who got that header to Havertz, who then laid it off to Martinelli. And I know it deflected and went in, but do you know what? Fair play. I'm a big fan of Thomas Partey, and I think he'll definitely be something we've missed, man. 100%. We've missed him. Listen, there's 350 of you in here, and we have only 106 likes. Let's make sure we get that up to 200 people. Make sure that we are subscribing as well. I don't know how many new subscribers we've got from now, but please make sure that we hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost anything, and all you got to do is hit 2 buttons. So please, you can do that, man. As Aaron says, like and sub. It's just 2 clicks. It's absolutely free. The like button is that. Subscribe says subscribe. And if you do want to join as a member like Aaron has, then all you need to do is click join, and you can support the channel in that way. That'd be amazing. Thanks so much, guys. Listen, before we wrap up, I want to ask a question. This is probably going to be the squad that we are going to have to go and win a Champions League or a Premier League with. Now, I personally don't feel like we're going to do either. That's not me being pessimistic. That's just me being a realist. I think Manchester City will win the league, and I've said that from day one, and I still stand by it, even though Liverpool are looking strong. I feel like the Champions League will probably be won by Manchester City again if things go their way, or it will be a Real Madrid that win our Champions League. Like a Jude Bellingham, I can just kind of see it now. But do we think that this is the season that Arsenal can impress in one of those trophies with this squad? And if so, why? Because a lot of people have said to me, you're very negative about the way you look at Arsenal. But I've just told you I don't think we're going to win a trophy this season. But does that make me negative or pessimistic? Or does that just mean that I'm real about it? So I don't know many football fans that are saying, Arsenal are going to win the Champions League this year, you know that. Arsenal are going to win that Premier League. Everybody's written us off already for the Premier League. It's going to be Liverpool and Man City now, right? And I understand it's fickle and it changes and it's quick. And in 7 days' time, we could beat Liverpool and we could be within touching distance of that. We can go through against Porto. Wow. Oh my God, Real Madrid have gone out and, you know, Man City are lost or whatever it be. It could be amazing. Football's crazy. But when we're real about it and when we're not in dreamland, are Arsenal actually going to win anything this season with this squad? Is it good enough? I don't think it is. And I count up the players when everyone's fit, and I think we've got a really good first 11. We have. When everyone's fit, it's a good first 11, right? We've got 2 good goalkeepers now. None of them are elite, but they're good goalkeepers, right? We've got a back 4 that, to be fair, has got a little bit of cover, but not quite enough. We've got a midfield, likewise, that when it's fit, has got 3 very good players and some that are all right to cover. And up top, we've got 3 good players, but some that are all right to cover. But when you look at it, when we've got a squad of 11, I reckon we've got 5 substitutes to make up 16 players, but we've got 4 that just ain't good enough. And those 4 players that we clearly need to bring in the summer is replacements or covers for Saliba, Saka, Declan Rice, because we ain't got another box-to-box midfielder. He's the only one we got, and Gabriel Jesus. So those 4 players added to the 16 that I think we've got, which are fair, makes a squad of 20, which I believe is what Manchester City have got, 20 players, right? So for me, if you look at it, you've got Raya and Ramsdale that can fight for that position. Next season, one of them may go, and you may have to get another goalkeeper in. And like I said earlier, I hope it's a top elite goalkeeper. I think you've got Ben White and Tomiyasu that are fine at right back. Zinchenko and Timber at left back. Obviously, at centre back, you've got issues after Gabriel and Saliba, which we need to definitely sort out in the summer. In midfield, Partey, Rice, and Erdegaard is quality. But other than that, you're struggling, if I'm honest. I still worry if we've got somebody for Erdegaard, but Smith-Rowe, Fabio Vieira, and Havertz are the guys there at the moment. They're not for me. Jorginho and El Neni have done a job, but their time is up. And I think Zubamendi links are good. I would like a Yusuf Fofana as well, somebody more box to box with a little bit of presence in there to give some cover for Declan Rice. And then, of course, I've mentioned earlier about Pedro Neto or Michael Elise coming into cover for Saka. And then up top, you can have the Ivan Toney, Alexander Isak, or Victor Osimhen debate. But they're the sort of names and positions that I want to see us looking at. I don't want to be seeing us linked with players that I'm like, who's that? Oh, another one from Brazil that Edu's looking at. Like, let's not do that. Yeah. Let's actually go and get what we need. What's looking at us straight in the face. Ain't going to be this January. It's going to have to be the summer now. We're going to have to look at that. How are we doing with the likes, people? It's a couple of super chats I'm going to read out in a minute. So how are we doing with the likes? What are we up to now? 131. Come on, man. All you got to do is hit it. It's 370 people watching. Let's get that up to 200. Come on, people. Do me a favor and smash that like button. We've got a couple of super chats here before we close. This is from Mohammed. It says, thoughts on Havertz? Ridiculous contract. My thoughts on Havertz are clear, bruv. My thoughts on Havertz have been clear from day one. I never wanted him. My eyes do not lie to me. In 4 years that I've watched Kai Havertz, he has offered me nothing on a football pitch that makes me excited. I've got no reason to believe that this is going to be a great signing. And if you want to call me negative or pessimistic, then please do. But I'm going to say this anyway. He will be remembered as one of the worst signings that we've ever made at the club. There we go. I've said it. Click me up. Call me negative. I don't really care. I'll say how I feel. Big up Matty, bro. Southern Gooner, big up Matt. Says, big up, big man Dan. Says, the manager will have to coach himself out the mess he created. This past summer window will go down in infamy. Scandalous. Bruv, it's mad. It is crazy because you make a good point, Matt, right? And the reason I say this is because everything that we're questioning this season has actually got the question mark of Mikel Arteta on it. And people can talk about and debate the goalkeeper all day long. The reason we're debating it is because Mikel Arteta has made that decision and created that mess. People will talk about Kai Havertz. Was it a bad signing? Was it way too much? That was on Mikel Arteta. We haven't got any cover for Saliba still. That was on Mikel Arteta. You got rid of Holding. You didn't replace him. And Timber is a fullback, by the way. He's not a centre-half that's coming in. He's not played there once. We haven't got any cover for Bukayo Saka. Oh, but it might be Jesus. Well, that means we haven't got a centre forward because he hasn't bought another striker in. He's only bought a forward two. He's bought 3 forward players actually in 4 years. Willian, Trossard, and Jesus. None of them are centre forwards. Crazy. Or out and out centre forwards. Yeah. So we have to be there, man. We have to be there and say like where we're at and just point towards the finger and towards him and say, at the moment, this is on you. Sort it out. Make it work. Make the goalkeeping situation go away. Make the Havertz confidence or question marks go away. Make the Saliba thing not an issue if he gets injured. Prove that if Saka gets a knock, we got somebody there that can come in. And actually, on that point, what are you going to do about his form? There's a lot of question marks on Mikel Arteta. And then when you look past the management at the end of this season, if you look past what Mikel Arteta might be doing at Arsenal, you then go to the Cronkies. And this is a good place for me to end. Because I'm happy to give Mikel Arteta to the end of this season. People want him sacked now. That's fine. I can justify why you would want that, right? I'm not going to sit there and say you're an out and out disgrace for wanting the manager gone or Edu gone. But come the end of this season, if we're sitting in 3rd or 4th place and we've won nothing, and we've gone out to teams like Porto and Carabao Cups to West Ham and 3rd, 4th round to FA Cups again, and we've not put in a title race, I'm going to look at those Cronkies and say, what are you going to do then? You're going to pull the plug or you're going to give him another 200 million, another 2-year contract? And if the answer is the latter, we're going to give him a 2-year contract and give him 200 million pounds to spend. I'm coming for them. No more Arteta and Edu stuff. Because Cronky is basically saying, you do what you want. You're my guys and I've got your back, whatever. Now, that's great for them. That's brilliant. Great sentimental value. We believe in you. That's fantastic. But actually, this is Arsenal Football Club and we should be winning football matches, right? We shouldn't be an experiment. We shouldn't be a project. We shouldn't be a process. And when you get that project or process to this level, it's no longer a project or process. It's time to deliver. And if you can't deliver, then there has to be some form of accountability. Yeah. And I think for me, the accountability is you've taken us as far as you can. We now need somebody to come in and actually win something with us. What is the problem with that? What is the crime? Every time you suggest that, oh my God, he wants Arteta to be gone. Oh my, is this guy actually an Arsenal fan? How about we just want to win? Yeah, that's what we're supposed to be here for. We're supposed to be winning trophies. And if we cannot do that with a manager, they go and we get another manager in. It's what happens. It's happened with every single other football club. Otherwise, Pep Guardiola, he wouldn't be at Man City. They still have Mancini because he won a trophy and they would have kept with him as a process at Manchester City. Pellegrini, he would have stayed at Manchester City, process. What are you getting rid of him for? We didn't win anything. It's a process. Keep hold of him. They got Klopp. They got Pep Guardiola. Yeah. Liverpool got Klopp. They could have stuck with Brendan Rodgers. That was a process. That was a project. What did they get rid of him for? It was fine. They nearly won the league. Did exactly what we did. 13-14, exactly what we did last time. So honestly, man, you've got to start to raise the standards at this football club, man. It's insane. The amount of times I see on Twitter or social media or other YouTube stands, I can't believe no one wants to be like Arsenal. Like, can you not believe anyone wants to be like Arsenal? In the last 2 decades, we haven't won a Premier League. We haven't won a European trophy for 30 years. We haven't won a League Cup for 30 years. Now, I was very, very lucky, right? And some people can call me spoiled if they want. I was spoiled. Trust me, I was a spoiled brat growing up. Yeah? Absolute spoiled brat. Born in 87, bit young to remember 89 and 91, but we won both titles there. 93, I remember us winning two cups against Sheffield Wednesday. 94, yeah, Cup Winners' Cup against Parma. 95, George Graham left, and I was pretty much in tears because I grew up on football, winning football under George Graham. Arsene Wenger came in, double in his first full season, 98. Then 2000s, we went to 2001, winning FA Cup. 2002 was a double FA Cup and League, 2003 FA Cup, 2004 invincible winning Premier League season, 2005 FA Cup, and then we got to a Champions League final in 2006, lost it, moved to the Emirates, and didn't win a trophy for 9 years, and that was way too long. Yeah, way too long. And then you look at what we did. We were in turmoil for how long? And somehow we won the FA Cups in 2014, 2015, 2017, and 2020. And since then, we're now in 2024. We ain't won nada. We don't go 4 or 5 years without winning trophies normally. Yeah, we did it once for that 9-year period, which was absolute blip. Yeah, absolute blip. We can't be going doing that again. So if we give Mikel Arteta a 2-year deal, that means he would have had 7 years at Arsenal, right? Because he would have had this year plus another 2 coming up. That's 7 years at Arsenal. And if he's only won 1 FA Cup in that year, is that failure? Well, of course it is. But some people will see it as a process. How long do we keep going until we actually say, I think this is going to work? So that's what I'm going to leave you with, guys. We need to look at it now. Seriously, end of this season, I'm looking at the Cronkies going, what you're doing. And if Arteta takes us to the last game of the season and we get pipped by Man City and we lose to Real Madrid in a Champions League final, they will call it failure. But you know what? I can justify why it might be harsh to sack someone who was literally a few seconds away from winning 2 of the hardest trophies to win in football. But if he's going out to Porto and we're coming 4th, seriously, guys, we have to look at this and say it might not be working. That's where I'm at, man. Listen, I'm going to be joining later on. We're going to do some transfer stuff and have a bit of a laugh. And then later on tonight, straight after the Man United game, it will be myself and Lee Judges with Henry and Deji on Lee Judges TV, talking all things Arsenal. And of course, looking at Tottenham last night, who, let's be real, are starting to get excited again, aren't they? Bless them. Listen, I'm out of here, people. Do us a favor. What we at likes with 400 people watching. There must be more now. We're closing on 200. We're 30 away from 200 people. Come on. All you got to do is hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you do want to join as a member, then you can do. Make sure that you join the community and get yourself involved on football's 12th man. Going to be back later. I'm going to be back tomorrow as well for weekend preview, and then all content building up to Arsenal Liverpool at the weekend. Sickness this week has basically ruined my content for the week, so I've kind of given up from last few days, but back on it now from today onwards, and then back to the original shows next week. There'll be Race for Europe, there'll be the Arsenal roundabout with all your favourite Gooners on. Obviously, we'll have shows on the This Is London on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays will be usual content creators coming on and talking all things football leading up to the weekend results. So we'll be back very, very soon. We'll catch you soon. Take it easy. Smash a like on your way out. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Up the Arsenal. Latest, people.